Today I'm going to go over how to create a progress report for elementary using skill-based assessment. I already showed you in a previous video how to add in assignments and assign the skills to those assignments or units. Today, what we need to do is talk about narratives for the homeroom, which is the first step. And the second step will be to generate a progress report for both the homeroom and all the other classes that the students are in. The first thing we need to do, though, is the narrative for the homeroom. This will be where we enter in the behavior skills in narrative form. So the first thing we need to do is go to the gradebook, open it up to your homeroom class. You'll see here that I am logged into Mr. Gale's classroom and his homeroom. Now, when we are in this gradebook, we need to find the narrative and comments screen. To do that, you go to the top center of the web page. You'll notice the area that says View has comments and narratives. By default, it should be name and average, but we don't need that. We just need comments and narratives. Once you go there, you'll see this screen appear, and you'll notice that we have a narrative comment column and we have two comments. We currently are not using the comments, and these are pre-programmed, if you right-click on them, pre-programmed comments that you can choose from. But currently, we are not using these. But we are using the narrative column. And if you notice, the icon and for all these students is just a blank page, except for one here that I've already entered, which is Carter's, for an example. And you'll notice the icon is different. It's a green N for narrative. Now, if I click on that or any other one, it doesn't matter. It brings me to a narrative input screen. The narrative input screen or pop-up looks like this. And what's really nice about this is you can see all the assignments that have been assigned to the class. Alan hasn't assigned any homeroom assignments, which I don't expect to see one in here, or any for that matter. You can see previous marking periods comments if you want to go back and look at previous comments that you've written later on in the year. Also, you can cycle through the different students in the upper left-hand corner here, or use the drop-down box and go to a specific student that you want to look at. I recommend that you write your comments in a Microsoft Word or Google document. If you want, you can even do it in Apple Pages if you really want, anywhere that is on your computer. If you are entering students one by one using this form and you lose internet connectivity or your computer crashes, you will lose everything and have to start over from scratch. So I recommend that you copy and paste them from a pre-existing document. You do that in the lower right-hand side here, where you'll notice I already have a comment. This is a very simple text editor. It's nothing special. You could even select the comments from here if you want from the database. But once again, we are not using those. And I'll show you later where you could decide to print those or not. But for now, just copy and paste your comments. Cycle through the students at the top. I recommend that you cycle through the students and you don't hit save between each student, because if you do, it kicks you out of the narrative pop-up window and brings you back to the gradebook, and then you'll have to go back into the pop-up. And each time you do that, it takes a lot of time. So I recommend that you copy, paste, and cycle through. When you are finished with your class, writing your narratives, you can go ahead and hit save. Once you are back at your gradebook screen and you notice that you have all your narratives filled in, that's where you want to be. We have to first generate a progress report only for the homeroom. Once again, the narratives for the homeroom will only appear in the homeroom, and we have to run this report independently of all the other classes. That's just the way that Rediker has designed it, and that's the way we have to work with it for now. So in order to run the progress report for just the homeroom, you're going to go to reports in the left-hand side of your screen. You're going to find student, and you'll notice there are two selections, progress report and combined progress report. Right now, for just the narratives for the homeroom, which is where the behavior skills will be written up in narrative format, you have to do the progress report, not the combined one. Later, we will do the combined progress report for English, social studies, math, and science, and I'll show you how that is done after I run this report. So first, progress report. Now, once you get to this screen, what I highly recommend you do is you set up the all these preferences for the homeroom narrative, and you save it, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. And then that way it's always available for you readily for quarter 2, 3, and 4. So for now, this is going to be, I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to call it homeroom narrative. We do OK. Now you'll notice it's here is homeroom narrative. And I'm going to go down. You could select all students. I'm not going to do withdrawn students. Actually, you know what? For me right now, for this test, or to show you how to do this demonstration, I'm only going to select Carter, because he's the only one that I actually wrote a narrative for. Now, you'll notice here on what to print box, there's a lot of choices here. Your team can decide what you want to include and not include. For now, I'm just going to make sure that you choose narratives. Once again, the comments section, which we're not using currently, is right above it. But for now, I'm just going to do narratives. I'm also going to do, well, you don't have to do skills because there are no skills for the homeroom. So really all you need is narratives, and that's it. Okay. Once you have that done, I'll hit save. Make sure I save how I want this to be. And I'm going to generate a report. And this is like your proofing screen. This will allow you to make sure that you've selected everything and it looks the way you want it to look. Okay. Now, once again, this is for Alan's homeroom. You'll notice it says that in the header. And as you go down here, it says homeroom, and it gives you the narrative. And that's all we need. If you are happy with this, you will send to PlusPortals. You could also save it as a PDF, or you could download it right here in the actual. This is the better place to actually download it, because it allows you to download from all the students that you generate at one time. And you can keep that on your computer for keepsake in case something goes wrong. But you can always come back here and regenerate this report at any time. If you, once again, are happy with it, you can send it to PlusPortals. It will show up in the student's account, and the parents will have access to it. The school gets to decide when the parents have access, so you don't have to worry about that. It will be turned off by default until we are ready to publish the actual progress reports and report cards. For now, if you're happy with it, send it there. And when you're finished, you can go back to report settings. Make sure that once you approve of everything, you can go ahead and save it, so that way you can get to this template and you don't have to redo this each time. For now, I'm going to go back to the gradebook. Now, we have just generated the progress report with the narrative for homeroom. Once again, this is where the skills or behavior-related skills will be written up in narrative format. Now, the second part, or the second stage that you have to do, is a progress report for all other combined courses. Okay, so to do that, just make sure you might want to go back to your name and average view. And for all your assignments, there's none listed here for homeroom, of course, for Alan. But as a homeroom teacher, you will be generating the progress report for all other courses, yours and others. For example, fine arts, IT, French. You will be generating it for all of them. And you don't really have to worry about much, because it's really simple to do. But if you want to go and check your classes, you can go into the skills command in the upper right-hand corner and review each of the students' overall grade for the skill. And once again, you can override that before you generate the report. And when you are finished, you want to come back to the reports on the left-hand side, find student, and you're going to do a combined progress report. Now, in the combined progress report, it'll look very similar to the progress report settings that you did for the homeroom. Once again, it shows current class or all my classes. So that is just the student list. The student list should not change. So you can just do current class. That's fine. Once again, I'm just going to do it for Carter because I don't want to generate a massive PDF. It could be hundreds of pages long, just so you're aware. So once again, you're going to do the template. You can do save as, and I would do probably combine classes. Okay, so it'll be saved there, and you can always get back to it just by coming here. You'll notice the homeroom narrative one isn't here because that's in a different report altogether. Okay, that's not a combined progress report. You can have as many versions as you want as well too. So once again, you have your report name, a summary page if you decide to choose those, and what columns. You could always specify more detail by the little 3 dots after the actual title. The subject, marking periods. Now, this is very, very important that you make sure that you include the skills for the classes. And if you want to do a little bit more refinement, you can do a detailed view, marking period, skill grade. In the detailed view, for example, you might want to do an ordered list with course or the description of the actual skill. I think this is a nice one because it gives a little bit more definition to the parents of what's actually being done. You know, there's other options, categories, weights, all that kind of stuff, but I would just highly recommend you do skills with skills in the standard description. I think that's a nice place to start. Okay, now you have to go into that setting because if you don't, nothing will print for the skills. Okay, so make sure you click on that. Now, down below there, once again, is the narratives and also comments, but we're not using those for now. But for the narratives, make sure that is checked because each teacher, for example, in IT, there will be a narrative written and there will be skills. Some teachers may not be using skills, but only writing a narrative. Until this is worked out with your school administrators, I highly recommend that you have both set in there until they tell you otherwise. Now, another really interesting one that you can also do is attendance. This probably would be best for the homeroom class only, but you never know. You might want to talk to your administrators about it. You don't really need a grade scale in there, but you can go ahead and put that. We are not using percentile-based or omnibus grading for elementary, but I do believe it will also show the, for example, the scale for skills, which is, exceeds, meets, proficient, and developing. Finally, on the right-hand side, you want to decide portrait or landscape. I would stick with the default, which is portrait. You also want to make sure that you include all teacher classes here because that will make sure that you include all the electives. Finally, you could just do all sections, but if you want, you can do it per quarter or semester, depending on what you're generating it for. By default, you can just do all sections, but I believe by second quarter, you probably want to change this to the actual quarter that you're doing the report for. You can include headers on all the different pages or not. It's up to you. And that's really about it. From here, you're going to run a report and you're going to test it out and make sure it looks right. Oops, I have to select one student. I'm going to go down here and once again, just do Carter. So I'm going to generate a report. And don't worry, this doesn't actually do anything right now. It just makes a proof for you to look at. You'll notice it was 9 pages for one student. So if you generate for a lot, it's quite a bit. Now you can cycle through the pages to proof them up here at the top. But you'll notice on this first page, it just kind of shows the student in the classes listed or which ones will be listed. If you included the actual absences, it will be listed here. There will not be an overall grade because that is for percentile or omnibus grading, and I believe we can remove that column in the previous screen, but we can just go ahead and do next. For English, there's nothing here. I'm going to scroll all the way to IT because I know that I entered some stuff in there. There you go. So for IT, which I entered assignments and I assessed them using the skills, I also added a narrative in here so you can see what it kind of looks like. This will be the overall average grade for the skill. Once again, you can override this before you generate the reports if you believe that you need to do that. And the narrative will be listed below. And this is once again, this is how simple it is. You will once again generate it for every single subject, but you don't really do anything other than run the combined progress report, and that's it. When you are happy with this, once again, you send this to PlusPortal, and every single student will get their progress report available to the parents once the school turns that on for viewing. So that's really about it. So if you have any other questions, I'm gonna go back to report settings here. Please contact me or someone in the tech department or your administrator where they can maybe give you a little bit more insight on how to solve the issues that you have with generating the report. For now, I am done. I'm gonna go back to Gradebook and you can basically log out and that is it.